Yes, thank you so much for joining us on the first of many Let's Talk LifeFX Living Water calls. And so today, I'm really excited to be here, and I know Sahara is too, because the whole preconception, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and birthing journey is something that that is incredible to start with living water. And so I really want to make sure everyone has great understanding on why living water is a foundation for not just your new life that you're bringing in, but for you, because I think so much we've tended to forget, at least for myself, I can speak, forgot to take care of myself during this pregnancy journey. And I know Bub is taking a lot of what is, a lot of the nutrients, a lot of the processes that you're going through, Bub's taking a lot of it on. And so we have to support everybody in this journey, and Dad as well, because his frequency matters too, and the kids and all of it. So anyways, so we'll get into all of it, but most of you already know Sahara, but this is Sahara Valastro, and she is a naturopath and womb wisdom expert. And she's been on the droplets for quite a while now as well. And I wanted to bring her in because I think that living water is our foundation. I really, after the time I've been working with it and the intuitive messages and everything that I know about it, I really believe living water is our foundation, but it is not the end all be all. And we have to take care of everything else that we've got going on, the nutrition, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional aspects, and the exercise. And Sahara is a really great living example on how to incorporate that all into a balanced lifestyle. So I think where we'll start is I'll start with my story and why I feel like living water is something that I need to share with the world. Look, it's a long story, but I'm going to get right down to the 30s. In my mid 30s, I ended up getting really, really sick, and I didn't know why. It was kind of coming on for quite a while. I ended up having, pretty much digestive distress my whole life, and that was my weak spot, and it was always manageable, you know, no big deal, just some bloating and some other things in my 20s happening, and like really just not digesting the food properly. And then it kind of in my 30s ended up coming to this cataclysm. It was not good. I couldn't leave the house some days, and I really realized I had to get on top of it. So I was starting to try other other modes of healing outside of Western medicine, obviously, because I was looking at all the natural, and I had suggestions. Nothing ever really resonated as being something that was going to work, but I needed to try. And so when I started trying these options, which were mostly bone broths and high fat, it just wasn't working for me. I got worse. I got really, really bad. I ended up having ulcers in my throat most days, and I definitely couldn't leave the house on many, many occasions. And I kept on getting other symptoms that were coming on. The more that I would get into the high fat routine, the more that I was getting worse. And so I had these symptoms that would be diagnosed as MS coming on: tunnel vision, migraines, numbness going through my hands and my arms and my feet, and some spells of dizziness. And just I was at a point where I was like, okay, this is it. This is sink or swim time. This is real. I have 2 children, so it was getting very, very real that there was something that I had to make some kind of a massive shift, or everything was going downhill. And so what happened was I kept on getting intuitively, go raw, go raw, go raw. And I thought, there's no way I can do that. I wasn't in a mental state where I could actually even think about, or physically in a state where I could think about giving up a lot of the foods that I was eating, because I was quite addicted. And so I just kind of, I looked at that and I was like, how am I going to do that? So I just kind of, put it up to the universe, please just give me some solution. And so a friend had recommended, probably a few weeks after that, she'd recommended looking at Anthony William, medical medium's work. And when I got the book, I said, oh my God, this is my answer. And so I knew it was my answer. And for some reason, when I got that book, I was able to make all the changes. I just knew that was what I needed to do. So I went raw. 30-day, did his 30-day cleanse, started doing the celery juicing, started eating, only fruits and vegetables raw, and my symptoms just started to clear up pretty instantaneously. And what occurred was that I ended up getting well, symptom-free, in not too much time. And look, this was a big deal for me because I'd been looking for an answer for such a long time. So I was fixated on it, devoted to it, was on my celery juice every single morning, only eating the raw, and I was restricted. I was in the space of being really restricted. And then my mind just came around like, okay, this is what you can do to be well. And after reading, a lot of this information, it's all about the toxicity, right? So what had happened to me is I had gotten to this place of overflow with toxic load. That was probably a lot of heavy metals, a lot of viral issues, and probably some other toxins that were just hanging out in my body that my liver could not process because I continued to give it too much fat, too much protein. And then what he talks about, and I'm just going from my own experience. I know there's so many different experiences out there, but my own experience was that when I stopped giving my body the fats and proteins, so my liver didn't have to do the work on producing the bile anymore, and it could just clean up. It could just do what its job was to do, and just to clean up. And so what Anthony William talks about a lot is that this is literally, your body wants to be well. And I think all of us on this call know this. Our bodies want to be well. We just need to give them what the tools they are to do this. And so for me, it was a matter of having this space of getting to toxic overload. And so that everything, it's like a bathtub, right? Your body can handle it, your body can handle it, your body can handle it. And then eventually it gets filled up and then you're overflowing and you can't handle it anymore. And that's when the symptoms come out. And so that was my personal experience. And as soon as I pulled back on what was driving, feeding the viruses and feeding the the space to be unwell and giving it what it needed, then my body was able to take care of itself. And what Anthony William talks about is the living water in fruits and vegetable juices, H3O2. And so that is what I believe was my saving grace, was actually getting the proper intracellular hydration so that I could start to flush out and move through the toxins that had been stored in my liver and all sorts of places in my body. And so this was my starting point of, okay, get it. It really does matter what I put in for a certain amount of time, for a certain amount of people. Not going to matter at all, because you're never going to get to that threshold of full bathtub where it overloads into symptoms. But I was there. And this is a physical aspect. So the symptoms stop, but I don't believe everything is just physical. There's the emotional, there's the spiritual, there's everything in between. So after that, I was really just kind of riding above the line. So anytime I'd, go back into different foods or take a break from my juice, like for a day, I was sort of feeling So I was anchored in my kitchen in restriction. It was not fun, but it was good for me because I was like, yep, feel good, great, on the right track. But then, after a certain amount of time, I got to the emotional component that was causing the issue and did the work around that and went to a whole new level. And so what I realized is that after probably a year and a half is that I was married to my juicer and I couldn't take it anymore. Like I just couldn't handle that whole routine anymore. And I just said to the universe, okay, bring me something else. Please bring me something easy because I can't handle this. I don't want to be in the kitchen all the time and have my entire life dictated by celery juice because it's not working. It's just not working for me. And probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks later, I ended up getting a random call and one thing led to another. And here we go. We've got LifeFX Living Water Droplets. But what I'd started to learn was that through Anthony Williams' work is that it's the mineral salts. It's the mineral salts. It's the mineral salts. That's why you want the celery juice. And obviously there's nutrition in there as well, but it's the mineral salts. And so what we've got with LifeFX is we've found the most incredible source of mineral salts straight from volcanic sulfate, which is where all mineral salts and all minerals in the environment come from their primordial place. So I'll go into that a little bit more later, but I just wanted to describe to you how I got to this place of realizing living water is foundational. It's absolutely foundational. And now I don't need to be married to any diet at all, or married to a juicer. I don't even do celery juice anymore, which was it was hard to actually accept that I didn't need to do it. I kept on intuitively hearing, you don't need to do that anymore. And then it probably took me 2 or 3 months to be like, okay, I'm going to drop back on the celery juice. And so I gradually, did that. And I don't have it anymore. It doesn't mean the nutrition's not important though. And so I think, I'm definitely not perfect, and I've been really busy, and I've been slacking on that nutrition aspect. But I think, the juicing is still important. All the raw fruits and veggies are important because you're getting nutrition, but we don't need to, we've got a solution for the living water aspect, which works so much faster. But we'll get into the hows and the whys and the whats of all the details of LifeFX in a little bit. But what I wanted to do is really introduce Sahara and talk about more of what other aspects we need to support in our daily lives, like in this pregnancy, preconception, especially the preconception area, because a lot of us get to pregnancy and then birthing, and then we haven't actually looked at what is possible for this whole journey prior. And it's something that I wish I'd known about. Actually, I did know about, but didn't really take it on board. But if you can go into that a little bit, that'd be awesome.
So I'm Sahara, and I think I know a lot of you. I'm a naturopath, and I work in the womb wisdom space. So I specifically work in that space. And so it's so important that when you are thinking about creating life, preconception care is so important, because the mum and dad need to be in their optimum health as much as possible in order before even the cell is even formed. So preconception care is recommended, obviously the earlier the better, but anywhere between 3 to 6 months is really important. And as a part of that journey, you are looking at things like you're saying, Zhara, living water as the foundation, because of the intracellular hydration helps to force the toxins out of your cells, and it also prevents toxins storing up in your cells. So that's obviously number one, pretty easy, like just having pure clean water with some living droplets in there. So that's a great start. And then obviously you're looking at your nutrition as well. So as Zhara said before, when you start forming a little human inside, is that they do take a lot of that nutrition to be able to form in a really healthy, beautiful way. So you want to make sure you've got that nutrition happening well before you get pregnant as well. And what I found on my journey with women who have gone through this journey of conceiving and then being pregnant and birthing, is that it's actually quite emotionally, it's an emotional journey, but it's an emotional triggering journey. So it's really, really, really important to really tap into that sacred space, that womb space, and clear out any trauma or emotional blocks, which, emotion is energy in motion. So really clearing that out and connecting in with the magic of your womb, and I guess priming it for this little soul that's about to come in. So as Zhara said before, yes, the physical is really important. So making sure you're drinking lots of water, eating well, moving your body, meditation, all the things are really important, but connecting in with your womb space and reducing stress are two really, really important ones that I found when supporting women through this journey. And ways that you can connect in with your womb and to clear out that trauma and to really hold that beautiful space for your child from the moment that they're conceived is doing regular womb meditations, womb connection and women's practices, and also yoni steaming, which I'm not sure, I'm guessing there's quite a few of you out there that understand what the whole yoni steaming thing is about. But yoni is a Sanskrit word that refers to our womb and our vagina. So it's a sacred abode, a sacred space. And with yoni, did you want me to go into yoni steaming now while we're here?
While we're here, I think that'd be a great idea, because it's
because Zhara I've just recently launched my yoni steaming blend, and Zhara recently did it.
And it was amazing. It was really actually a beautiful, nurturing experience, because I think I've been go quite a lot, and I had been hearing like, just relax, Zhara, just relax. And so not only was I just able to relax during that 30 minutes, the energy flow that I felt from womb space up to the heart and through is just really, really, really divine. And when I think back, I didn't have all this understanding prior to conceiving my children. But if I think back, if I was on a preconception care journey with where my mentality is now, it's something that I would definitely incorporate.
Yes, definitely. And Zhara actually did, and I do as well. We do the yoni steaming with the living water droplets, and then you've got like the powerful, because blend of the two together, which is pretty phenomenal. But it is a beautiful practice to be doing before you do get pregnant, because yoni steaming, it's basically the blend that I have. It's herbs that are handpicked, organic, and they have different actions. So some of them are things like preventing bacteria in our vagina and womb space, so that we don't produce, I guess, a pungent odor. Like it's a fresher environment. It also helps to help lessen like any excess discharge. It helps to clean out the area of any stagnant and old cells and blood. So then, of course, that's all fantastic for when you're wanting to get pregnant. And quite beautifully, there's a herb in there that actually helps to clear out any energy that's not ours in there. So this is yoni steaming. There is the spiritual wellness in there. Every time that we interact with someone sexually, we take on their energy, and vice versa. So we want to be clearing out that energy, because that blocks our intuition and our connection to self. And so it's actually it's a sacred sexuality is a very thing that I'm very passionate about, and also bringing in conscious humans as well is another thing I'm really passionate about. So yoni steaming is amazing for postpartum as well. So really helping to clear out any fluids that have stayed in there, that haven't quite come out, and also to help tone the womb out or uterus, however you want to refer to that space, and the vagina as well. So yes, I think that's
sums it up.
I think so, yeah.
Matana just had a question. How many times a week, a month would you recommend doing it?
Look, it's interesting. I first started off with thinking, 1 to 2 times a month. But I think you can really increase that to even like once a week, really. But the thing is, it depends on a lot of things. So if you're trying to get pregnant, then you don't want to be steaming after ovulation. Just to make sure, like I just wouldn't recommend it. I don't, you just don't want to put any pressure in there if you're trying to conceive. So it's going to be really dependent on the person. At the moment, I have a lot of the women that I work with, if they've got PMS symptoms, then they will steam a week before they bleed. So when their PMS would potentially, things like bloating, or even I had a woman yesterday say to me, so if I get cranky, is it a good idea? And I'm like, yeah. And also what's a great idea is to actually slow down and be internal in that time you're cranky, because you're not telling people you need the space during that time before you bleed. But that's a whole nother thing altogether. Another wonderful time to do your yoni steam is right at the end of your bleed, just to anything that's stagnant in there, to get that out. And then, as long as you don't have any sort of active infections or pre-existing conditions that may trigger anything, then you can pretty much steam when you feel like it. I hope that helps. It can be a bit of a case-by-case scenario, but you're welcome to reach out to me if you have any more questions.
Okay. And I think like the cleansing, the pre-cleansing is something that the water really helps with in the
Yes.
physical. So just to make sure I'm really clear, when you get living water into the cells of your body, what happens is that it passes through the cell membrane, and then you can constantly flush the toxins out. So what had happened to me during my, in my 30s when I got sick, is that I had not had a constant flush of toxins out of the cells and out of the liver. They were just stored, sitting there, waiting to overflow. And so with preconception care, or with just general living, if we can get this constant flow of living water through our bodies, what happens is that there's never a buildup, right? There's just not a buildup. You've got a solid foundation for not stressing, because I'll tell you, I used to be stressed about all of it. Like, oh my God, what's in the air, what's in the soil, what's in the food. And I don't worry about any of it anymore. It's taken this massive layer of stress off, because I know like my body can do what it needs to do. And so I feel like this has just been an answer on that level, that we, that we've been looking for, that so many moms are looking for, and moms to be. It's this, okay, sorted, kids are sorted, it doesn't matter. My kids go to their dads a couple, half time. And so I don't stress. I'm like, okay, do what you will, all good. Because I know they've got a constant flushing of this cellular structure. And so I find that to be huge in preconception, especially because I was reading this study last night, actually, and because there's so much out there on how the heavy metals and the viruses and whatever's going on within our own bodies is going to pass to the fetus. And so what happened in this particular study I was reading from Iran, they were actually testing mothers and babies after the babies were born, and the babies all had higher heavy metal loads than the mothers. So they were actually suggesting that that the baby actually becomes a way for the mother's body unknowingly to carry out toxicity. So look, and I think that's probably, unfortunately quite standard operating practice. But if you're already pregnant, or if you've already had your child, don't worry, because living water will take care of it as we go. But this space of being able to do it prior is phenomenal. And I think, and it's also creating this space of higher frequency beings, because our bodies actually become higher frequency when we don't have the toxicity in them that's holding them back. And also the living water is this, it's a high frequency conduit, I should say. So there's just so much to it. But let me just stay on track, focus, and go back into just the basics of what living water is and how it can really transform the life that you're bringing in. So if we go back to actually what it is, because I think some of you may not be very familiar with that, it is literally Mother Nature's gift, is how I see it. It's an ionic crystalline mineral that we're sourcing from volcanic sulfate. And that is one particular source. For some reason, this source of black mica is superior. It can do much better job of purifying and enhancing water than any other source that's been located. So what it does is it literally transforms your water into H3O2, and it neutralizes or reduces, depending on what's in the water, heavy metals, viruses, bacteria, pathogens, pharmaceuticals, VOCs, and about 200 different toxins that have been tested. So it's literally Mother Nature's gift. And how it's doing that in the scientific terms is through reduction oxidation. And so it's an electron transfer process. So hexavalent chromium, for example, which some of you may be aware of from the film Erin Brockovich. Did you ever watch that one?
Yes.
With Julia Roberts, where there is a whole cancer cluster around this certain area in California, well, probably in the 90s, I would say. Yeah, because I think I was a kid when the movie came out. And what had happened is everyone was getting cancer, everyone was getting sick. And so this woman who was a law clerk ended up nailing down what it was. It was pollution from a particular industry it was just getting into the groundwater that the people were drinking. And so it was hexavalent chromium. So if you add the droplets to water that's been tainted with hexavalent chromium, redox occurs, and it's an electron transfer process that literally makes hexavalent chromium toxic into trivalent chromium non-toxic. And so this will happen with, for example, sodium fluoride toxic to calcium fluoride non-toxic. And so this happens in the first stages of this process. And in the first stages as well, viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens are neutralized due to the high UV light absorption in the droplets. So then we've got the neutralization element happening. And then what happens is coagulation, flocculation. And so that is a process in which all these dissolved solids that were in your, they were like literally invisible in your water. What happens is they start to clump together, they start to come out of the water molecules, and then they'll flocculate and end up as a sedimentation at the bottom of your jar, whatever you're treating your water in. And then that sedimentation is actually inert. So it's the most amazing gift from Mother Nature. And the reason why this mineral does this is it's because of primordial power. And so minerals, we get minerals in our food, in our spring water, but they're regurgitated. And I think this is it's a whole new understanding on minerals and water and how they go together. So minerals, from what I've learned and researched and found out, is minerals are actually, they're designed to clean the environment as we go, right? And so they end up starting from their source, volcanic sulfate, and they are cleaning, doing their job, neutralizing toxicity within the environment, through the land, through the water. And then by the time we get them on this end, they're really spent. They've been used. Their primordial power has been used. And so this is the potency of LifeFX Living Water Droplets, is we're actually getting them from the source. And then we can purify, all their power goes into purifying the water that you are drinking. And so what happens at that stage then is that you've got literally living water as Mother Nature intended. And if we look back to like all the ancient healing springs that were on the planet at one stage, and there's some scattered about, that's the reason why they're healing springs, is because they're on volcanic sulfate vents. And the reason why there's the most concentration of life on the planet, or I should probably say some of the most concentrated life on the planet, around volcanic sulfate vents on the bottom of the ocean floor where there is no light, is because of these healing minerals that are pouring forth from those vents. And so yeah, it's just when I talk about it, it's just like, it's such a gift that we can now create it for ourselves and have Mother Nature like just helping us restore what we've kind of lost throughout this process of Western civilization and everything that's been going on the planet. So that's how it works and what it is. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about that particular process. Okay, so when you get living water in the cells of your body, you are able to intracellularly hydrate. So not only is the intracellular hydration flushing out the toxicity, but you're actually getting intracellular hydration, which is huge because you don't feel thirsty, right? So I've got a lot of moms and athletes and different people who, if they don't have the droplets anymore, they don't feel the hydration. And a lot of people who will actually go through this process of feeling incredibly thirsty when they first start it, because their body's finally getting intracellular hydration. And can you talk a little bit about, Sahara, about hydration and how that affects the whole pregnancy journey, preconception journey? Is that something?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So as the mums out there who have already had their babies, you know that being really hydrated is really important with breastfeeding. Yes. And also, okay, so if we just sort of go back all the way to like preconception care, it's really important to be super hydrated so that we make sure that we're getting out those toxins before we even conceive. So that's number one. Yeah. Then as we move into pregnancy itself, it's really important to be very well hydrated, because the amniotic fluid, water helps to keep that amniotic fluid at a at a really good level. It maintains the fluid, and obviously, as you know, that's really important because it protects the baby, and it also is where the exchange of nutrients between mum and bub happens. So that's really important. And you want to be making sure, thirdly, it's important with breastfeeding because you are the mums out there would know you get really dehydrated with breastfeeding. And also, again, your breast milk is obviously feeding the nutrients into bubs. So you want to make sure that you're fully hydrated there. And the quality of the water that you're drinking is imperative because amniotic fluid, whatever you're drinking, whatever water you're drinking, is going to be exchanged to your baby, and that's through the amniotic fluid and also through your breast milk. So you've probably, if you've been following LifeFX on socials, you would be educated around what tap water is. Have we even spoken about tap water yet?
We haven't,
have we? No. So tap water is highly toxic. It's got lots of, it's got pesticides, fluoride, chlorine, all the things, heavy metals. And so if you're drinking that, then those heavy metals and those things will basically be passed on to your child. I don't want anyone to feel bad about that if you have been drinking tap water, because we all, like Zhara said earlier, our bodies are actually extremely intelligent and beautiful and amazing. If we give it the right environment to heal, then it can be self-healing. So obviously, as we say, the foundation with the right water and nutrition and all the things is really important, and that will facilitate any toxins that have been accumulated during that process if you have been drinking tap water. But going back to what I was saying, the quality of the water is really important. So filtered, making sure it's pure, and then you can go a million miles forward, take a massive leap forward by adding in the living water droplets. So that's why the hydration piece is really important.
Yes. Okay, I've got Christy asking a question. Hi, Christy. Oops, can you hear us?
I think she's on mute.
Okay, you just need to unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm unmuted. Hello. Oh, I'm loving hearing this. Thank you. Just on the hydration, Zhara, you and I have had a really awesome conversation that I really resonated with Matt in terms of hydrating and taking it down to the particular cellular level and how we're using the living water to actually penetrate each individual cell, and using the analogy that it's like the highway and the minerals are the highway and they go in and they're that's the exchange method. Can you pick up and talk more about that?
So that's so the water is your especially when you're pregnant and when you're with the amniotic fluid, it's your transport method, right? Water is doing the electrical exchange, but it's not just water, it's the minerals. And that, Christy, I believe, is what Matt was saying. And he's given me this amazing understanding on how minerals and water, they want to match up and they want to do the job that they're here for. But when we don't have a quality mineral, we're also looking at a water that is of not high quality. And so we're getting this, not only are we getting just feeling better with hydration, we actually have a transport system that is able to effectively work in ways that, unless we're on a constant juice cleanse, may not be efficient.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And so I think when Sahara was talking about the hydration aspects and the amniotic fluid and everything that's going into producing Bubby, we're not just looking at the cleanliness of the water, we're actually looking at the frequency. And so I've actually had all these amazing mums come around and all these amazing sacred birth keepers coming around and just really understanding that, oh my goodness, when these babies, because we are leading edge science is showing 99% molecularly water. When these babies are being born into an environment that's purer, or growing in an environment that's of a high frequency, pure environment, then they are coming in with being able to have a higher resonance of frequency, and to hold their consciousness into this planet and into this plane. Do you have anything you want to add about the frequency and the consciousness? Because I know conscious conception is very
definitely. So what we're referring to, for anybody who's kind of new to this concept, is that, you know, we are all made up of energy, and the world is made up of energy and vibration. So frequency is about our energy vibrating at a certain frequency, and the more kind of dense we are is you know, unprocessed emotions, not spiritually connected, and the foods and the things that we consume that we know are not good for our energy, because we can feel that. So the higher our frequency, the more in alignment we are with our soul and you know, our spirit. And as Zhara and I've said, it's not just about the physical and the mind with what we do. It's about the spiritual is really, really important piece. And so conscious conception and conscious birthing and those kinds of concepts, it's being really mindful of all the decisions that you are making during that process, and creating a space. The frequency or the energy within your womb space is really important, because you're passing whatever is happening in this sacred space, you're passing on to your child. And there's a lot of us out there are doing the ancestral work at the moment, like like that. And so what we want to do is we want to really try and pass on as higher frequency everything, like, you know, beliefs, emotions and energy, you know, all the things. We want that to be as high frequency as possible to give our child the best start at life, and that they come in vibrating at a higher frequency, basically. That's sort of why I'm so passionate about it, because I feel like that's what the world needs, and especially right now. So
we've got
that covers it.
I think so. It's like we've got this shift where it's like sink or swim time, right? Which most of you probably understand. We're either really lifting out or we're really going down, and it all comes down to frequency. And so with these new babies coming in, if we can provide them the best space, the best possible outcome with frequency that we have control of, the better off they are, and I think our collective humanity as a whole. So that's the reason why I think I'm so passionate about getting it out to the moms, the new moms, the moms to be, the doulas, the midwives, and this understanding, this whole new understanding of water, because we haven't been educated that we are, you know, we've been told we're 70% volumetrically water, drink your water, stay hydrated, all of this, but we haven't understood that we're not being hydrated. And so with the droplets, it's about an increase of about 32% intracellular hydration. And so if you look at just standard filtered water or spring water or alkaline water, you're still looking, or tap water, you're looking at a ratio or a percentage of about 1 to 5% intracellular hydration. So most people, no matter how much you drink, you're still not getting the hydration benefits that your body is actually looking for. And I can say, you know, just time and time again, I've had customers say, oh my goodness, I feel hydrated. And if I am not on them, I feel like I'm missing them. So what happens with the droplets is once you get on them, you really start to know, your body knows what real water should taste like and what it should feel like.
Yes. And we wanted to I'm just mindful of the
time. What are we looking at? Okay, so it's about 10. We should probably take
Q&A. Did you want to talk briefly about the
birthing pools? Yes, and then we'll go into Q&A. Thank you. Just talk forever on the subject. So
Crystal's happy.
So the birthing pools. Okay, so look, so what we're looking at with the droplets is we're looking at it's removing toxicity that goes in. B, actually removing any toxicity that is in the cells of the body. And then C, we're looking at a place of actually being able to surround ourselves as best as possible with living water. And so when you can do a birthing pool, you can actually create this healing spring, this complete amazing healing spring for your child to come in and for you to rest and relax in when you are going through that process of labor. And so we've done swimming pools have been done, hot tubs have been done, and it basically essentially just makes the pool or the hot tub a living water spring. And it'll neutralize everything that you've got in there without any need for chlorine or any other chemicals for about 6 months or so. So we can do the same thing with the birthing pool. And the process really is just to fill up your pool prior, if you can. If you're on tap water, you'd really want to be filling it up. And I know we can't plan these things. We can't get the exact timing, but probably shortly after you receive your pool, so it's ready. And then you can put the droplets in, fill it up 3/4, and then the contaminants will be neutralized and they'll flock out to the bottom. They'll precipitate out to the bottom of your birthing pool. And then what we're going to do with Crystal is I've just gotten a mini spa vac. And so when she's ready, we'll just go over after probably about 48 hours of having the pool set up. We'll go over and just give it a little pool vac on the bottom, remove any of the sediment that's there.
Yeah, cool.
And then it's ready for her when she's ready, and they can just top up with hot water and add maybe a little bit more of the minerals. But from every customer that's ever done bathing with it, it's been a phenomenal process. And this is actually something you can do while you're pregnant, just in the bathtub, or preconception care. I know women who have been high in heavy metals have actually sat in bathtubs for the first time, and they're tasting the heavy metals on the tongue. And there is quite a lot of, with intracellular hydration, I'll just say one thing, intracellular hydration will produce, depending on where you're at on the spectrum, it can produce some detox. So you just take it as you flow.
Yeah,
but it's more of an education of, you're getting it out of your body. Your cells just need to release it.
Exactly. And just on that note, with the pools, is that our body is the largest organ that we have.
Yes.
And so we absorb what we put on our body. So it makes sense that when you are birthing in a pool, that you do want to be birthing in something that's pure and high vibe, high frequency, so that you do, so it's I think that's just another, like, that's just such an amazing piece with birthing. Like, how amazing.
I know, it's
like so excited.
I know, and it's like something that I never thought about, because I did a water birth with my son, and it just never even, and it was in in the Gold Coast birthing unit, which was great because it was just a very short stay. But I just didn't even think, he's coming into tap water, it just never even occurred to me.
That's amazing.
But okay, so let's do questions. Does anyone have questions? I'll unmute you as we go. I think there's probably a way to raise your hand, or just do it like this.
Yeah, or even just write, or
Okay.
So how long do the detox symptoms usually last on average for those people that are experiencing detox symptoms?
It will depend on the person. It will really depend on the person. Some people never feel it, and they just feel like hydrated and great. And other people, I've talked to a few recently who it's really flushing out, and it's really bringing up everything. And so for those where it's like maybe a little intense, just you can cut back on the amount that you're adding. So maybe 1/4 ml per liter instead of a full ml per liter. I think everything's just getting a bit more energetically sensitive these days. So it does seem that people lately, I've heard a lot more people experiencing detox than I have in the past. But it really depends. Some people will just have a little bit of a headache for a day, and others are really having things come out of their skin, and and really going through a process of full cleansing.
The other thing is that you can support your liver in the process. So there's different ways to really help to shift it. So obviously exercise, saunaing, greens, lots of greens help that process. Lemon in warm water in the morning, those kinds of things. That just helps, I think, to just flush it out a bit more.
Yeah. Anything you can do to support as well. Does that help, Crystal? Okay. Do you have one, Christy?
I can just share my detox experience. I started them with a big bang, like I do with everything in life. So I took, you know, a little bit more in the treated water every morning, and my symptoms kind of was like a swollen, not a swollen tongue, but just I could just feel my tongue and just felt irritated. So that lasted a couple of days. Yeah, but just generally those just small little detox things, they lasted maybe a week. And of course, Zhara, you mentioned to me to back it off a bit, but I just thought, look, I'm going to go through this, so I'm just going to go through it. But yeah, of course you can back off a bit if you need to, and yeah, but yeah, on the other side, my body was definitely thankful.
Yeah.
And
I think, thanks, Christy. And I will just say actually that I do know there are certain people that are actually recommending it for the health of the fetus. So even if you're starting during pregnancy, you don't need, because usually we hear don't detox while you're pregnant, but this is something completely different. This is water. This is the baby, and you are moving it through. So it's not going to actually be a place of, you know, of holding anything. It's not like it's flushing into the baby and staying. It's moving everything through.
And it's literally, I've got, you know, since I started, I've got my entire family using the drops. So everyone's having a really different experience. So it's just good to have a little bit more information to share with everybody.
Okay. Yes, and always reach out, like always send an email if need be, because some people, look, it meets people where they're at, really meets people where they're at. And so some people it's, you know, detox, some people it's feeling amazing, some people it's actually like, you know, heart openings and more energetic experiences that are happening, psychic awakenings. So those are, you know, not as many, but it just depends where we're at and what we're needing.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Crystal.
I have a question as well, just about detoxing. So if you start taking them while you're breastfeeding as well, detoxing then, is that going to be detoxing your baby, or is it going to be if you're expelling things through your breast milk? How would that, would you recommend doing it while I'm breastfeeding?
Definitely. So we have to look so there's certain things, because we're in the water purification category, there's certain things, and, you know, there's regulations, there's certain things I can say and cannot say. So I'm going to make a link. Okay. So as it's working in the water, which is the neutralization process, and then making it inert, making all those toxic contaminants inert, as it's working in the water, it will work in you. Remember, you're 99% molecularly water. So it's pretty much, right? You can think about how that's actually playing out in a body of water. You are a body of water as well. So it definitely, take it while you're breastfeeding. Baby's going to be getting milk that is going to, because your breast milk's mostly water, the baby's going to be getting milk that is H3O2, and that's going to assist them in moving through anything that has already been stored in the body. Yep. But with anything, I do just want to say, with anything, I say use your intuitive guidance, right? This is my intuitive guidance. This is what I understand, but we all have to tap in and tune in to what feels resonant.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jess.
I have one more. Approximately how long would it take for, like, if you're drinking this regularly, how long would it take to restore correct hydration within the cells, like optimal hydration within the cells?
I think that's like a piece of string. Like, how long is a piece of string? Because everyone is so different. Everyone's had different experiences. Everyone's body's in different places. We've done different things in our life. Some of us have done detox. Some of us haven't. You know,
different outputs, like, you know, are you exercising? Are you sweating a lot? Are you? Like, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of things, isn't there?
Yeah, what I do understand is that if you switched all of your drinking water to living water with LifeFX, what will happen is after about 3 to 4 weeks, all your intracellular fluids will be different. So so it's not too long, but it will vary based on the individual.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good question.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Well, I think probably then, if you have questions that come up, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer anything. And if you do want to try the droplets, what we're doing for this call is you can just enter coupon code NEWLIFE, NEWLIFE, at checkout, and there'll be a 15% discount added to your total, because I'm really thankful for you for joining us and to learn more, and want to
great.
share that around. So
yeah, we want to really spread the message, so that we want to try and get people before they're even, like they're even conceiving. Like, let's start from as early as possible. Obviously, let's get on the journey whenever we can, but we're really passionate about basically changing the world one woman and baby at a time, and man and whatever.
And I think, there's one other, if you haven't looked at the video that Sarah and I did on Instagram, or probably it should be on Facebook, but definitely on Instagram, was done a couple days ago. She's talking about, she started when she was breastfeeding, probably 2 or 3 months in, and she talks about her journey and how the water has like completely changed everything. So that would be a great one just to have a look at.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It really it's like just new understanding. Understanding.
Water birth, the water birthing, that's just blown my mind. Of course, birthing babies in the chlorine.
It's like flicking on a switch. And like,
Thanks for that feedback. It's like this big switch has been flicked on, and for us, it's just like, okay, share it, get it out there. We have solutions now. I think we didn't know about it because there wasn't, the research wasn't there.
Yes. It just makes so much sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
And yes, definitely shoot questions if you have any. Okay. Oh, Christy, do you have something else?
I'm just loving all of the layers just dropping in. It's so brilliant. I don't know if people on the call would like to know more about this, or Sahara, maybe you talk to me later. But how are you facilitating the yoni steaming? Are you sending things out? Are people picking things up? How is it? Yeah. How is it set up in my environment? Say, if I can't get to you, or
so I'm the whole education piece around it. So I'm sending out the steam itself. I'm actually going through the process at the moment to design like a stool, and one that can be easily sent. So I'm working on that, but in the interim, what I'm doing is I'm posting videos and ideas on how you can DIY your own steam at home, which is like really cool, like things like beach chairs with cutout holes, and or just squatting over it with yoga blocks and those kinds of things. So on my Instagram, Modern Women Alchemy, there's I've only just started that, but there's information on there, and my website has all the information, like contraindications with yoni steaming, recommendations, what it is, how it works, and full instructions as well. So so people can purchase the steam on my website, and I'm sending them out. I'm also organizing a workshop.
The herbs, is that the herbs they can purchase?
Yeah, steam herbs, you can purchase that off my website, and I post them out. And I'm also hosting a workshop around yoni steaming, what it's all about, the ancient women's practice that has been practiced for many, many, many moons, and still is in countries like Indonesia and Mexico, and in India and those kinds of places, Asia. And then also talking about the womb wisdom piece as well. So I'm going to be hosting that in Currumbin. And then you can always just contact me and ask me questions.
Beautiful. What was your Insta again?
It's Modern Women Alchemy. I think I think we're connected under Sahara Valastro, and then you'll see in my bio there's Modern Women Alchemy. Join that because it's beautiful. It's all the things about the womb.
Lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome, Christy.
Thanks, Christy. Yes, definitely check out Sahara's socials, and if you haven't really gone through the website and you're on the droplets, or if you have other people who want to know more, the website has so much information, like really goes into depth. So lifefxwater.com, and then we put additional information and and testimonials on the website.
Can I ask a question? You put the droplets in the water with the yoni steaming. Is it combined?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerhouse stuff. Like it's like
And the forces.
yeah.
And ideally though, Kate, you're drinking like all the water that you've got that you're using for your cooking, for your drinking, you'd be using for your steaming, for
everything water
everything.
related.
So no, it was great. I just loved it. To my next one, it was.
There was definitely a difference, because before I met Zhara, I'd learned yoni steaming in Mexico and in Indonesia. So that was just my practice that I would do. And then coming back to Australia, I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't really exist here, or the women need it. And then when I did it with the droplets, it went next level again. So yeah, highly recommend to be doing it with them as well. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yes.
Is it possible to make this recording available? Because I'm just going through my head and thinking of all the people that couldn't be here, and that this information, this call, would be really useful for.
Definitely get it out. We'll get it out as a recording.
Yeah. Do we want to, how will we do that, Zhara? Do we want to email it to people and get people to send it? We need people's emails, I think would be the best way.
Okay.
So perhaps what we might do is set it up so that we've got your emails, I think, because you're all registered. So we will send you all a copy. But anybody else who wants it, might be good to get them to maybe somehow send their email, because then we want them to be regularly updated with all kind of information, like, and this is a series, so we're going to be doing more stuff around, aren't we? So I think that's a great, something like that.
We'll email you as well, but I think that sounds like a great plan. And spread the word if there's someone.
It would be great for midwives and doulas and things like that.
Exactly. We'll probably do another one in 3 weeks or so, and then really fine tune the information and really promote it. So we'd love to have you share if you feel it.
Yeah, if you have any further questions, just reach out as well, because if anything that we've missed that you think are going to be helpful, again, if you guys come again in 3 weeks, or if there's somebody else, or that sort of feedback. And
anything you really didn't like, was missing, that would be phenomenal.
Amazing. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for being here,
and
look forward to seeing you again soon.
Hope you have a good day.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.